Today, I want to give you a clearer picture on whether or not we will actually see another stimulus bill and what it could mean for you as an individual, since I know there has been so much talk about a million different proposed ideas. So if you want a realistic look at what this next bill could look like and when it could arrive, then be sure to stick around to the end. Let's jump right into it. What is going on, everyone? I hope you are all having a fantastic day. Really quick, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and of course hit the like button if you do get value out of today's content. So over the past month or so, we have seen so many proposals come out of the woodworks from Washington, and I've covered most of them here on the channel, at least the ones that are getting a lot of attention, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of them all over the place. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that these are just proposals. And while most people would love to get $2,000 a month for the next year completely tax-free, unfortunately, it's just unlikely that this would actually get through the entire process of passing a stimulus bill. Now, as I'm sure you know, we've seen the $2,000 a month proposal that I just mentioned, a proposal that would give you $2,000 immediately and then $1,000 a month on a debit card, as well as a proposal that would cancel all rent and mortgages for a full year. And look, these are all interesting ideas that would benefit different people in different ways. But unfortunately, none of these are truly going to be a one-size-fits-all solution that makes everyone happy. But why is there so much tension around this topic anyways? Wouldn't everyone benefit from getting some extra cash every month in order to stabilize the economy? I would say most individuals would agree with this, but unfortunately, it's not that simple, and I believe this is for one reason that isn't being talked about a whole lot, and that is that a lot of people are making more from these stimulus checks than they are while working their regular jobs. Now, I did briefly mention this a few weeks ago, but I kind of danced around it since I know this is a very hot topic for a lot of people, regardless of which side you fall on. But I just want to present you with the facts on the issue and let you form your own opinion. So look, the $1,200 checks that a lot of people are getting are great, but this issue honestly is rooted around the $600 per week in unemployment benefits that was part of the most recent $2.2 trillion stimulus bill. Now, if you're unaware of this, part of the most recent stimulus bill included federal unemployment insurance of $600 per week on top of the benefits that the state gives you. But for the sake of simplicity, let's say you're not even getting these additional benefits from your state for unemployment. So at $600 a week, that means you would be making $15 an hour working 40 hours per week. But keep in mind that this $600 is completely tax-free. So in order to actually take home $600, you would either need to be working more hours or making more than $15 an hour depending on where you live. Okay, so that's great and all, but why has this stalled the fourth stimulus package? Well, as of 2019, over 42% of the US workforce makes less than $15 an hour, meaning that if you're in that category of low income and you're one of the almost 30 million Americans that has claimed unemployment in the past month, then you're probably making more money just sitting at home than you are working hours at your regular 40-hour-a-week job. Plus, on top of that, most people are getting that additional weekly benefit from their state for unemployment and received a $1,200 check as well. And while these payments are extremely important and necessary for many individuals to get by, this has led to a growing number of workers who really don't want to go back to work. And that is where the real issue lies and why a lot of leaders in Washington are hesitant to send another round of direct payments. Okay, so I can feel some people getting upset right now and yelling at their screen because another stimulus bill might not be coming. But let me reassure you, we do not know whether it will or will not come, and there's been very little discussion on the bills that have been proposed. I'm simply saying that the reason some individuals in Washington are hesitant to send more stimulus payments is that this keeps workers at home longer, especially if they're making more just sitting at home. If employees don't want to go back to work, then businesses can't reopen, and when they can't reopen, they obviously can't operate, and they can't pay back their employees with the PPP loans that were supposed to be forgivable if they use them for payroll. So now you have a bunch of people staying at home, raking in free money, while businesses are forced to stay closed because their employees don't want to come back to work, and they can't pay them with the PPP loan, so they have a lot of debt, and now they have to pay it back since they didn't use it for payroll as intended. Okay, but what have we actually heard from Washington, and what is the potential solution for this problem, since obviously many individuals really need another stimulus payment? Well, thankfully, the House said that they are set to meet on Monday, May 4th to begin discussions on the next stimulus package. But we've also heard from both the president and the economic advisor in the White House that they believe another round of direct payments may not be necessary. President Trump himself said that he'd rather see some sort of payroll tax cut over a large distribution like the $1,200 checks that we saw from the last stimulus bill. And just a few days ago, the White House met with members of Congress to discuss a payroll tax cut and increase wages for individuals who are returning to work. Now again, if you're getting angry and want to yell at your screen, don't worry, because the White House is not solely in charge of making this decision. Remember that any bill that is proposed must first be passed by the House, then it has to be passed by the Senate, then it moves on to the White House, and if the president decides to not sign off on it and veto it for whatever reason, then it goes back to the Senate. But they can still overrule the president's opinion with a 2/3 majority vote. However, since everyone seemed to be dragging their feet a bit on this fourth stimulus package, some sort of wage boost or payroll tax cut could be a viable option for the next stimulus bill. Both of these options would incentivize workers to go back to work, especially if the money they are earning just sitting at home begins to dry up. And most people are hoping that this happens as soon as possible, since the longer people stay away from work, the harder it is to go back to work, especially if they still have health concerns in their area. And that brings up another important point. What about people living in areas that still can't return to work? Well, that's a really great point too, and personally, I think that's why Washington in general is dragging their feet, because they're hoping that if they drag their feet long enough, the fourth stimulus bill will be able to incentivize people to come back to work rather than incentivizing them to stay at home. So let's quickly break down the two options that we've heard mentioned. A payroll tax cut is pretty straightforward and to the point. Obviously, every time you get a paycheck, there's an amount that is taken out for local, state, and federal taxes. So by reducing these taxes on your paycheck, you would be taking home more money. But this isn't likely to be the most popular solution, since many of those lower wage workers wouldn't really see much of a difference in their paycheck. Plus, considering all of the debt that the US has taken on recently, perhaps a cut in taxes isn't exactly the best idea when there are other options on the table. Some sort of wage boost is a more likely option, and this has been proposed in the form of hazard pay, which we did talk about in a previous video. However, the proposed pay increase was pretty extreme and was for essential workers only, which would not solve the issue of incentivizing non-essential workers to go back to work. So it's likely that a wage boost would look something like a 10 to 15% increase in pay for a given period of time, and maybe self-employed individuals could submit some form showing that they're open and working and get some kind of subsidy in exchange for that. With this option, the government could focus the next stimulus bill on small businesses and give them the funds needed to support this increase in pay, while simultaneously incentivizing workers to get back to work when it is safe. This would keep small businesses from going under, which may not sound like a big deal if you're just a regular employee, but if small businesses start to close, then millions of employees will have no job to go back to. And while this would involve taking on more debt and printing more money, it's honestly a matter of picking the option that does the least damage and the greatest amount of good for the most number of people. Again, there is no stimulus package that is going to make every single person happy, and there's always going to be those people in Washington who are hyper-focused on controlling the US debt load, especially considering the amounts that have already been spent. So with all of that being said, I want to remind you that at the moment we do not know whether there will be or will not be another stimulus check. However, in my personal opinion, which is worth nothing more than a like on the video, I do think that we will see a fourth stimulus package, but it's unclear who will win the battle that's going on in Washington right now. One side is fighting for direct payments to individuals, while the other side is facing a pretty large unemployment dilemma and wants to incentivize workers to get back to work. But much of this is contingent on how successful the reopening of states is and whether or not it's safe for people to even go back to work. Not only do people need to get back to work, but consumers need to feel confident in their income once again and have a level of discretionary spending that allows them to support businesses outside of the necessities. The economy is a constant cycle of people earning money and spending money, and unfortunately, the current health crisis has stopped both sides of that equation. And in order to fix that, both sides will need to start for the other to be possible. So I wouldn't hold your breath on receiving $2,000 a month completely tax-free, but even if you don't see some sort of direct payment, you could see this benefit in another way once you do get back to work. As always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get back to you. And let me know, what do you think about all of this? Would you rather get some sort of direct payment at home, or would you rather have an incentive to go back to work? Also, I have talked about Robinhood before, but I have a new platform for you that I recently started using and I really like it as well, and that is Webull. So if you want to try it out for free, use the link down in the description and you'll get a free stock, and if you deposit $100, you'll get a second free stock worth up to $1,400. It's a great platform, it's completely free and easy to use, so be sure to check that out with the link down in the description to get your 2 free stocks. Of course, be sure to subscribe for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and hit the like button if you did get value out of today's video. As always, I appreciate your time so much, so thank you for spending part of your day hanging out with me. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.